Welcome to the Deep Dive, brought to you by Tech Talk Central. Today, we're jumping into the world of Motorola phones. We're looking specifically at two recent models.
That's right. We've got a whole bunch of source material here. Specs, features, customer reviews comparing the Motorola Edge 2024 and the Moto G Stylus 2025.
Yeah, a listener sent this our way. They're trying to figure out the difference between these two. So our job is to sift through it all.
Exactly. Pull out the key stuff, see how they really stack up, and help you get the lowdown quickly. Okay, let's get into it.
That sounds good. Let's kick things off with the Motorola Edge 2024. Based on this material, what are the main highlights?
Okay, so the basics from the specs. It's unlocked, running Android 14, and it comes with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage built in.
And that display sounds quite nice. The sources mention a 6.6-inch PLED screen and a really fast 144 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, they use words like cinematic, infinite contrast, bright, vibrant colors. It definitely sounds like a premium viewing experience.
What about the camera? Anything stand out in the sources there?
Well, it's got a 50-megapixel main camera. The sources highlight this ultra-pixel tech and Google Auto Enhance, focusing on, better low-light shots.
Okay, good for darker scenes then. And the front camera.
That's listed as 32 megapixels.
Gotcha. And powering it all.
That's the Snapdragon 7's Gen 2 processor. And looking at the customer feedback, battery life seems to be a real plus point.
Good battery is always key. What are the specifics?
It's a 5,000 milliamp battery, which is pretty hefty, and the charging, they call it ultra-fast 68W turbo power.
Right. The source said something like power for the day in 15 minutes.
Exactly. You need the right charger for that speed. It also supports wireless charging, which is convenient.
And the design, durability.
Described as beautifully designed, curved, vegan leather back, and importantly, IP68 water protection. So it should handle getting wet.
Up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, the sources say. Any unique little features?
Yeah, there's a mention of a quick button for one-touch access to an app or something you set.
Okay. Now, what are actual users saying, the customer reviews? What's the general feeling?
Mostly positive, seems like. People call it a great mid-range device. They praise the display, photo quality, although one person did say it's not quite flagship level if you zoom way in.
Okay, fair enough. What else?
Fast charging, that good battery life, and the overall value get mentioned a lot. Some say it feels snappy, almost like a top-tier phone in speed.
Any downsides mentioned?
There was some mixed feedback on the build. Some like the premium feel, others worried about durability, saying it isn't rugged at all. And two key things missing for some users: no headphone jack and no micro SD slot for expandable storage.
No expandable storage. That definitely leads us nicely into the other phone. Let's switch to the Moto G Stylus 2025. What's the big story there, according to the sources?
Well, the name kind of gives it away, doesn't it? The absolute standout feature highlighted everywhere is the built-in premium stylus.
Right. The sources say it's the only phone in its class with one.
Yeah, they really push that. Perfect for notes, editing photos, sketching, navigating, stylus stuff.
Okay, so stylus is king here. How's the display compare?
It's actually a bit bigger, 6.7 inches, also PLED, but it's listed as Super HD, so a higher resolution. 2712 by 1220 pixels.
Higher resolution. Interesting. What about the refresh rate?
That's 120 hertz, so slightly larger, more pixels than the Edge,
Yeah.
but a step down from the Edge's 144 hertz smoothness. Sources also mentioned Dolby Atmos sound for, cinema quality entertainment.
Trade-offs there. Camera specs, still 50 megapixels.
Yep, 50 MP main camera again. But the sources get specific here. It's a Sony LITAS sensor, and this is important to have OIS, optical image stabilization, plus Moto A for night shots.
OIS. That should help with shaky hands or lower light, right? Sharper photos, smoother video.
Typically, yeah. That could be a noticeable difference in practice. Front camera is also 32 MP, same as the Edge.
Performance-wise, what's under the hood?
It's got a Snapdragon SM6475 processor and 8 GB of RAM. Customers in the reviews generally call it quick and functional. Very good performance was one comment.
And the battery. Please tell me it's also 5,000 milliamp.
It is. Matches the Edge there. 5,000 milliamp. And it also has that 68W turbo power fast charging, same claim days power in 15 minutes.
Wireless charging, too.
Yep, the sources specify 15W wireless charging for the stylus.
Okay, what about how it's built? Design, protection.
Described as striking, ultra-thin, modern colors, vegan leather finish again. Similar vibe to the Edge, but it seems to double down on protection.
How so?
It also has IP68, but the sources also mention MIL STD A10H testing. That usually means it's tested against drops and other stresses.
Okay, that sounds potentially tougher. Now let's circle back to storage. This was a big point of difference highlighted in the sources.
Absolutely massive difference here. The sources are crystal clear. The Moto G Stylus 2025 has 256 GB built in, plus a dedicated microSD card slot.
And that supports up to
A whole terabyte. 1 TB. So yeah, if you need tons of space, this is a huge advantage according to the material we have.
Okay, now the headphone jack puzzle. The sources seemed a bit confused.
Yeah, this is weird. The spec sheet we looked at just says audio jack, USB Type-C. That normally means no 3.5 millimeter jack. But one customer review explicitly says, quote, Moto has kept the headphone jack. So based only on these sources, we can't say for sure it's contradictory.
Strange. Definitely something potential buyers would need to verify. Any other little things customers liked?
Yeah, the in-screen fingerprint sensor got praised, fast, responsive. People like the usual Moto gestures. Oh, and someone mentioned seamless updates, like from Android 14, even though the main spec sheet says Android 15.
Any complaints apart from the potential jack confusion?
One user did mention some bloatware being present.
Okay. And the overall vibe from customers on the Stylus 2025?
Very positive, actually. Lots of praise for the excellent screen and camera quality. Good speed, fast Wi-Fi, fast charging, easy to use, great battery life, some said over day.
And the Stylus?
Consistently called a game changer by those who use it for notes or productivity. Generally seen as really good value for what you get.
Right. So let's put them side by side now, head to head. Based only on this source info, what are the biggest takeaways?
Well, the most obvious one, the elephant in the room, is the stylus. If you want or need that built-in stylus experience, the G Stylus 2025 is designed around it. The Edge 2024 just doesn't have one. Simple as that, really.
Okay, number one, stylus or no stylus? What about the displays?
It's a trade-off, isn't it? Edge 2024 gives you that super smooth 144 Hz refresh rate. The Stylus 2025 gives you a slightly bigger screen, higher resolution, but caps at 120 Hz. So smoothness versus size and pixel density, both POLED, both liked by users.
And storage, that feels like another major split.
Yeah, huge divergence. Edge 2024, 256 GB, that's it. Stylus 2025. 256 GB plus that microSD slot for potentially massive expansion. That's a clear fork in the road for users needing space.
Processors. Edge has the 7th Gen 2, Stylus the SM6475. Any strong indication from the sources which is faster?
Not directly comparing these two shifts in the sources, but we did see that one user review comparing the Edge 2024 to the older 2024 Stylus model.
Right, and they felt the Edge was snappier.
Yeah, snappier overall, faster in games. It might suggest the Edge has a performance edge, maybe? But again, the Stylus 2025 users still call its performance quick and very good.
Yeah.
So maybe not a huge real-world gap for most people.
Cameras, similar specs on paper.
Both 50MP main, 32MP front. But the Stylus sources specifically call out that Sony sensor, and, crucially, OIS. That optical image stabilization could give it an edge in sharpness and low-light video, theoretically. The Edge specs didn't mention OIS.
Okay. Battery and charging seem pretty much tied, though.
Yeah, it did heat based on the specs.
Yep.
Both 5000 mAh, both at fast 68W wired charging, both do wireless charging. Stylus specifies 15W.
Durability, both IP68.
Right, good water resistance on both.
Yeah.
The Stylus adds the MIL STD810H mention, which implies potentially better drop resilience, but remember the mixed user feedback on the Edge's perceived durability.
And the headphone jack, still murky for the Stylus based on this info. Definitely missing on the Edge.
Exactly. If you absolutely need a 3.5 millimeter jack, the Edge is out, and the Stylus is a question mark based only on these conflicting sources.
Finally, price. The sources indicated the Edge 2024 was generally cheaper.
That's what the pricing info we saw suggested, yeah.
Yeah.
The Stylus 2025 seemed positioned a bit higher.
Okay. So the so what moment, what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to decide based on this material?
Well, it seems to boil down to a couple of key things. If that built-in stylus is a must-have for you for notes, drawing, whatever.
Or if you absolutely need expandable storage, like for tons of photos or videos.
Exactly. Or maybe you prefer that slightly larger, higher resolution screen. Then the Moto G Stylus 2025 seems tailored for those needs, accepting the 120 Hz refresh rate and potentially higher cost.
But on the flip side,
If you prioritize the absolute smoothest screen possible with 144 Hz, maybe slightly snappier raw performance based on that one user comparison.
and you definitely don't need a stylus or expandable storage, and maybe you want to save a bit of money.
Then the Motorola Edge 2024 looks like a really strong contender based on these sources.
And remember, both seem to offer really solid battery life with that super fast charging, similar main camera resolution, though maybe different result with OIS on the stylus. Both have IP68 and that general Motorola software feel.
Yeah. Ultimately, the choice really hinges on how much those unique stylus features, the pen and the SD card slot, matter for your day-to-day use. That seems to be the core decision point from this material.
All right, that pretty much wraps up our deep dive comparing the Motorola Edge 2024 and the Moto G Stylus 2025, looking just at the source material provided.
We really hope digging through this helps you get a clearer picture of these two interesting phones from Motorola.
And hey, if you want to find the latest prices or check out deals on either of these, be sure to look at the links we put in the description below.
Definitely. And for more deep dives into tech, gadgets, and all sorts of other interesting topics, please subscribe to the channel, Tech Talk Central.
One final thought to leave you with. Really consider how much having that stylus always ready, or having virtually unlimited storage with an SD card, would actually change how you use your phone daily. Sometimes the feature that seems small on paper makes the biggest difference in real life.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.